I started thinking about all the different times where I have experienced a shift in my perspective and the community has experienced a shift in their perspective. In all those instances, there was one common denominator. It was having honest human conversations. I agree. I tell people that all the time. It's not there's no relationship on this planet that works when only one side is working it. You know what I mean? What are your opinions on our criminal justice system and what role does law enforcement play? Be careful with this one, though. I don't want you to lose your job. All right, all right. Hello, everyone. My name is Officer Jill. Welcome to the human side. I'm excited to have this conversation. You guys know that the purpose of this channel is really just to create another forum or another opportunity, another place to have difficult conversations and just human conversations. I've been a police officer for approximately 15 years, and in my experience, I have learned perspectives are shifted and ideas are changed and respect is gained through having conversations. Having real honest conversations that requires accountability, deeper understanding, information, and just dialogue. Um, I love my job. I love that I get to serve people. And obviously, we're in a difficult time right now when it comes to law enforcement. So I'm trying to do my best to contribute what I can to improve the relationship. So today we have a awesome guest that I will be talking to. He's a police officer. He's been a police officer for approximately 15 years. Coincidence, same as me. Not really. We're actually classmates. We're in the academy together. And the conversations that we would have, we were actually partners for probably about 4 years or so. And the conversations that we would have, they varied from all different things, from society to religion to just having fun and picking on each other. He's definitely an extra brother to me, and I know I'm the sister that he never had and sometimes even never wanted. But we're going to have a good conversation. We're going to talk about a few things. I think he can provide some insight, and you guys can jump in as to what officers talk about when we think about the relationship between law enforcement and the community. All right. So let's get him on here and let's talk, y'all. All right. We are in here. We got J Rob here. What's up, Jay?
What up, Jill? How you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm ready to have this great conversation with you. Like I said, Jay and I are classmates. We're in the academy together. Got what, 15 years in now almost? Or am I giving an extra
Well,
year?
one more. I mean, it's technically March, so one more month. Yeah, we got
Yeah,
15 years. We got
15. I can't
15
believe
years.
it.
Gone by
Right?
fast.
Hey, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Absolutely. It seems like we were at Venice Beach only maybe what 2 years ago,
Yes,
but it's
absolutely.
a lot longer than that. Yeah.
Seriously. We had good times though. We had some the cool thing was though, we had some bomb conversations.
Yes, we did. B
We
block.
argued.
Oh God, did we?
We argued, we laughed, man. We talked about the serious stuff. Like we had a good conversation. So I'm excited to have this conversation to share with everyone to see what do officers talk about. What kind of discussions do we have? I'm going to give you a couple questions and I want to see what your thought is on these things. Go out sometimes and I have these conversations, honest conversations with just your average person on the street, whether I go to the mall, to the park, wherever I go, and I ask them certain questions without them knowing I'm a police officer. And generally, they are about the relationship between law enforcement and the community. And these are some of the questions and responses that I get. So I want to give them to an officer and see what you guys think. All right. So let me give you your first question. Okay. How would you describe the current relationship between law enforcement and the community right now?
As of right now, it's very fragile. It
Mhm.
seems like anytime we do something good and we move a step forward in the right direction, something national will hit the media and we take two steps back. It's a very delicate balance. And I've heard some people say every time we do good, we build that stock, that equity. Thank you. That's the word I was
Mhm.
thinking. We build good equity. And one thing that has definitely changed law enforcement for good and bad is the cell phones. And officers know, but they just need to be made aware of. If they don't know, you're always being recorded. That shouldn't stop you from doing your job. I always believed if you treat people right and go about things the right way, who cares if they're recorded?
Absolutely.
It's very delicate, very delicate.
Okay. I agree. I'm actually this. What do you want it to be? And how should it be? And if you could have the ideal relationship, if you could take it from this delicate point, what would you change it to? What would you
One,
progress it to?
one of respect on both sides. It can't be us versus them. It has to be the community needs to want our help, feel safe calling for us, and respecting the job that we do. But also, we as law enforcement also need to return that respect. And I always said, and I've told you this many times, I think a lot of times just in the past, we've gotten in trouble because we don't communicate, we don't talk. And a lot of times people don't know why we do the things we do. I remember one time, I'll give you a quick example. At a gas station, someone calls on a lady. Now, they were in a dating relationship. She was
Okay.
tripping, thinks she was high on some type of unknown substance. There's already 3 or 4 officers handling the situation. I show up, I'm the senior officer on scene. I take a step back. I can hear people behind me chirping. In my mind,
Chirping,
I'm
meaning
thinking,
talking in the
exactly,
background.
why does he go over there? He's already, looks like he's a supervisor. Why does he go over there and do something? He's just standing there not doing anything. And in my mind, I'm thinking, Jesus, you can't win. If I go over there, you're gonna be like, really? Does it take 5 people to do this? I'm letting these officers take care of the
Yeah.
situation. And if
Yeah.
they needed my assistance or needed some support or advice, then they can come to me. But it is true. Sometimes you don't need 5 or 6 people over there while they're dealing with it.
Yeah. Could
So,
heighten the situation.
exactly.
Yeah.
When I say a lot of times people don't know why we do the things we do. And a lot of times we do things for, as we say, officer safety, for our protection. And if we would take time to explain sometimes things to community members, a lot of times instead of the smart comments, they come and say, hey, you know what, officer? When you're done, can I ask you a question? 9 times out of 10, we'd be like, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But let us
Yeah.
finish what we're doing. And yeah, what do you have? Oh,
Yeah.
you want to know? Okay, this is why we did what we did. Okay, this is the type of situation, this is the type of call. And when we have something like this, we have to respond and do it accordingly. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Mutual respect is huge. Later on, I'm gonna show you a video of one of the interviews that I did with a gentleman at the mall, and he says something very similar to that. I want to see your response to it. So let's go
okay.
to the next question. Let's see. Are you familiar with the warrior mindset and the guardian mindset as it relates to law enforcement? You've heard of that before?
Warrior and guardian. I probably heard it
Yeah.
referred to in different terms, but
Mhm.
refresh my memory.
So there's this idea that officers are generally trained with a warrior mindset. It's more of the aggressive as opposed to the guardian mindset where you're more of the protector, softer. I had training last week and one of the officers in class, she actually did a presentation. We all had to do a presentation at the end of the week based on what we learned. It was an instructor course. And she actually did a presentation on whether officers should only have or should focus more so on the warrior mindset or their guardian mindset. So warrior is going to be more of that aggression, usually has to deal with our tactics and the physical part, whereas our guardian is going to be more of the softer service or whatnot. That
Yeah,
kind of give you an idea.
absolutely.
And there was actually an article in I think on police1.com that talked about this. Right? It's a big conversation nationally on whether officers should focus more on having a warrior mindset or a guardian mindset. What do you think? Do you think it's should only be one? Do you think it's a combination of both? What are your thoughts?
I'm glad you brought that up. So, yes, I've heard of this, but it was taught to us differently in the academy. They use different terminology. In my few years in patrol, I think I did what, 8 or 9 years in patrol. So, I'm going to say you need a combination of both. Me, I prefer the guardian, but as you think about the times in Venice when we would stop somebody, and no matter how cool we were, how respectful, sometimes we had to crank it up a notch. Everybody's not going to understand or respect, excuse me, sir, excuse me. Okay, I understand you're upset, but look, this is what we're going to do, etc., etc. Okay, hey, look, I need you to bring it down a little. I need you to stop waving your hands. Okay, take a step back. Listen to me. Sometimes that calm and cool demeanor doesn't always necessarily
Yeah,
work.
absolutely.
And you got to come at it another way. And you got to get them to understand that, okay, you're not happy that we're here, but we're still going to do our job. I
Right.
think it's a combination of both. And it needs to be a combination of both. And I mean, it could be in life. The Chinese talk about the yin and yang. Situations, you got an active shooter, you got to go into that warrior.
Absolutely.
But if you're investigating a child abuse, are you going to bring that mentality to speak to a kid or a victim of, even domestic violence? You want to bring that guardian. So, yeah, I think you as a person have to regulate that. You also have to understand, I think having a good partner is
You're welcome.
essential. Sometimes I would get riled
Yeah.
up out there and you would
Yeah.
step in.
And
And
vice versa.
yeah,
We worked well with each other for sure.
yeah, I think we're a good balance. Understanding your partner's cues and when their voice inflection changes and when their breathing patterns or their voice intonation change, or their stance, and then you come
Voice
in.
intonation. Hold on. That was a big word there, sir.
Oh,
Voice intonation. Hold
I
on.
mean, that's
Hold
just
on.
that's what do we call that? That's command presence. That's all command.
Okay, there we
You know?
go.
Yeah.
Way to explain it for us layman people.
Hey, sometimes you got Mother Man it doesn't work. Hey, you got to come at them a whole different way.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And I think the discussion that we had in that class, everyone had the same sentiment. And we used the same examples. Like when there's a school shooting, man, you're a warrior, right? You got your gun on, your rifle, whatever it is. It's time to go save people. It's not time to be
Absolutely.
soft.
No,
That is not the time to be soft. And you describe it as well, domestic violence, where emotions are high, or you're dealing with investigations involving children. You definitely got to bring it down the notch and into that guardian mindset. Yeah, I will say this though. I think we don't train enough in the guardian area. You know what I mean? I think we do a lot of tactics, which is more a warrior mindset, which the amount of tactics that we do train with, I think we need it. I don't think we should decrease the amount of tactics training. I just think that we should bring our guardian training up to the level that we do with our tactics, that they should be even. And when I say guardian, like we should have more extensive training on emotional intelligence, right? Learning how to really how to perceive our emotions and other people, right? Determining how to respond and manage those things. I don't think we do enough of that, but just my thoughts. I don't know if you have a thought on that as well.
that, and I want to say something that might be controversial, and a lot of people don't agree with me, but in my personal opinion, I think, and especially California, it should be age 25. Once you're 25, then you can apply to be an officer. And
And for clarification, here in California, it's only 21,
correct.
just in case
But
someone doesn't know.
not only for just longevity, because if you come on earlier, you got to work longer, 30 plus years, but just like you said, emotional intelligence. Because Jill, maybe you've worked with somebody, I have too. I remember we were dealing with some type of call where the parents were upset, the son was under the influence, having an episode, and there was 6 officers. And I'm trying to talk to the dad and tell him, hey, you know what? We got the fire department here. We're trying to get your son. We're not. He hasn't broken any laws, but he's having an episode in public, so we're trying to get him medical attention. Right now, this is medical.
Right.
And he dismissed my partner, who was younger, because my partner was like 22. He's like, man,
Mhm.
my son's older than you. Get out of here with that.
Yeah.
He goes, do you have any
Yeah.
kids? And the officer was young. He was like, sir, I need you to come. He's like, do you have any kids? Just answer my question.
Yeah.
Do you have any kids?
Yeah.
You ain't got no life experience. He was like, get
Yeah.
the out of here.
He didn't have respect for him because he didn't have that life experience.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And not everybody's going to have the same amount at 25, but you're going to have a little
Right.
more. You're going to be a
Right.
little more seasoned in life. And when you got a 20-year-old trying to talk to you about the circle of violence, most people are
Yeah.
going to be like, man, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out
Yeah.
of
Yeah. It
here.
definitely creates a challenge for sure. And if the public doesn't respect you, it's oh my goodness, climbing up that tree is that is a job. That's a chore for
You're already
sure.
behind the eight ball right there. You know?
Absolutely. 100%. Let's make you think a little bit.
Oh,
Let's find a
yeah.
good one. Let's see. Okay, let me ask you this one. This is always a good one, right? So, whose job is it to strengthen the relationship between the community and law enforcement? Whose responsibility is it to make this relationship better?
It's both. It's both the community and both law enforcement. Our management principles talk about the people are the police. The community needs to be able to have faith in us that we're going to do the right thing even when no one's watching. And that's what's important, integrity. And we have to understand that community is our clientele. We're there to assist them. And yes, at times, not everybody's going to appreciate our service. So I think it is both parties involved, and
Yeah.
especially, and that's when there could be something that's controversial happen. When you have that good equity in the community, the first thing they're going to say is, "Hold on, let's reach out. Let's reach out to some people or contacts I know, and let's get a better explanation, or let's see what they have to say." Versus everybody just getting up in arms. So that's why I say it's a delicate balance, and it takes both parties, and it's something that you just don't do and stop. It's something that's continual. You
Yeah.
continually build it. You continually nurture it. So yeah, both parties.
I agree. I tell people that all the time. It's not there's no relationship on this planet that works when only one side is working it.
Uh,
You know what I mean?
mhm.
There's no relationship. And obviously, this is a working relationship that we have with the community, but it's still a relationship. It's still a form of relationship. And any relationship requires both parties actively being involved. And
Really wanting to be involved, not one
right,
just doing it begrudgingly. Oh, I got to go to this community meeting. You know,
absolutely. Yeah.
that,
And they have to want to. You can't, this is not a type of relationship that faking the funk. It looks good. It looks good on paper. It looks good to say it, right? As a sound bite, but you don't really start to make progress until you're actively and genuinely and authentically pursuing that relationship in a better way. That
yes.
makes sense. So far, I want something that we don't disagree on because I
Ooh,
know we used to disagree a lot,
yes, we
but it
did.
was good though. It was good. Our disagreements were growth.
Well, I mean, I would definitely say we both held each other's feet to the fire in our
Yeah.
disagreements.
Yeah.
We didn't change each other's views, but we
Yeah.
respected each other. You know what I'm saying? It
Absolutely.
never got to the point where we got disrespectful or stopped talking. It's good. You're never going to agree 100% with everybody. And that's okay. And
Absolutely.
that's what I think
Yeah.
this generation doesn't understand. It's okay to disagree. Yeah.
Yeah. That is a
You're going to
lost
agree to
lost cause.
disagree.
Yeah.
And
That
it's
is not
cool.
true these days. Yeah, it's a struggle for us these days for sure. Let me
Yes.
ask you this then, since we're talking about society. What are your opinions on our criminal justice system and what role does law enforcement play? Be careful with this one though. I want you to lose your job.
Oof.
What are your opinions on our criminal justice system, right? And what role does law enforcement play in our justice system?
Law enforcement plays an integral part in our justice system, but unfortunately, I think, at least here in California, what started out as good ideas like Prop 47, Prop 57 have turned into nightmares. And Jill, you remember this. And a lot of time we used to deal with homeless people that were stealing theft. these homeless people were going to 7-Eleven or Ralph's and they were stealing chips, water, and sandwiches.
Food. Yeah, survival
Right?
stuff.
Basic necessities.
Right.
And yo, man, this guy stole $12 to live. Do you really want him arrested? Okay, officer, you're right. Just get him out and make sure he doesn't. But no one envisioned 10 years down the later when they lessened the penalty for theft, no one envisioned intricate groups coming down from San Francisco all the way to San Diego, hitting every CVS, running in, stealing $1,000 of merchandise, running out,
Right.
and going to the next one. What we're doing right now is not working. I was taught when I was young that your actions have consequences, good or bad.
Right.
And you need to be held responsible for your actions. And right now, I think there's a lot of babying. It's okay. You stole 3 times, so we'll give you one more chance. And it's not working. And
Yeah.
I think there is a sense of a lack of trust with politicians and law enforcement
Mhm.
because people feel like he got arrested and he's out in 3 hours. He's doing the same thing.
Right. And they don't realize it's not the police, it's the way legislation has set up certain laws, right? And how they have reduced certain laws. But unfortunately, I think we get the blunt of it, right? We're, I guess, the first line of defense for the criminal justice system. And obviously, we get a lot of that weight put
Right?
on us. But
Think about it, Jill. If you're a shop owner and this guy has constantly stolen from you
yeah,
and
I'm
you have
upset.
him
I'm
arrested, yeah,
pissed.
exactly.
I'm
You have
pissed
him arrested.
off.
I come,
Yeah.
I arrest him. 4 hours later, I'm back.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
look at me and say,
Yeah. For sure.
"What did you do?" Well, you know what? Why even call you? Because you're not even doing anything.
Yeah.
So,
And it just makes our job that much harder. Like you said, we lose that trust, that dependability. The community doesn't have that dependability on us, our business owners, which is
mhm.
unfortunate. But yeah, we definitely need to go back to the drawing board on how we handle these issues, at least here in California.
Especially homelessness, especially
Yeah.
homelessness.
Yeah.
What no one's talking about. They need to talk about rent control. They need to talk about. There's no reason a one-bedroom apartment in California should be $2,200.
It's
Like, come on,
insane. It's insane.
who can really afford that?
Right.
A
It's
one
insane.
bedroom, a
It's
one bedroom
insane.
should at least be $600. At
Realistically,
least.
those days are long. Those are done. Those are back in 1990, bro.
I know. That's why I said it. That was when I moved here. That's what I was paying for my one bedroom. And coming from Texas, I was like $600. Damn. You was like 300, 400, 600. That was
Right. Now you wish. You
yes,
wish
right?
in your dreams.
Yeah.
In your dreams.
How can families survive?
Yeah, they can't. And it's unfortunate 'cause it contributes to a lot of our crime. People are stealing a lot of times for necessities.
Mm-hmm.
And take, for example, like you see a lot of these smash and grabs. We have a problem here in LA with smash and grabs. A lot of them are a lot.
Understatement. Understatement.
Yeah, it's understatement that we have a problem, right? It's like a normal thing now. You know what I mean? Smash and grab. It's like, oh, smash and grab. On to the next. But anyway, we have a problem with it. And for me, I think, and we've had these conversations, we talk about the different issues in the inner city, right?
Yes.
And why a lot of these young kids, why they're stealing. Poverty is a big reason why. Ultimately, everybody likes nice stuff. Everybody wants nice things, right? Unfortunately, some of these kids, they don't have the resources. They don't have the family life that's going to help provide that, right? There isn't always a two-parent home. When there's not a
Yes.
two-parent home, there's not two incomes. There's may only be barely one. And that income may actually be only government assistance. And so you get these young kids that are they're stealing because they want stuff. They want stuff just like everyone else. And I'm not saying it's okay in no way, shape, or form. I don't think they should do it. Let me make that very clear. I don't think you should steal anything just to have it. If it's not yours, don't take it. Work for it. Work for it.
Thank you.
Um, but yeah, like I said, we can go back over and over about why they're doing it and the lack of resources and whatnot. But yeah, I went on a whole tangent off of that question.
Hit on some good points. I remember I mowed yards for 2 months to save
Yeah.
up to buy my Super Nintendo. I get it. People
Yeah.
want nice things, but we need to teach our kids that these smash and grabs are just running in and taken,
Yeah,
like you're setting them up for failure because
absolutely.
at some point there's going to be some consequences, and they're not going to like
Heck
it.
yeah, absolutely. I want to show you one of the interviews that I did with this gentleman.
Okay.
We're going to cue it up. Okay, so in this question right here, I asked this gentleman if he believes that the relationship between law enforcement and the community is repairable. I'm gonna let you see what he thinks, and I'd love to hear your input on it.
Okay.
Play it.
Terrible. If
I agree.
here's the biggest problem is that people think they have to fight to win. The- When each side has to fight the other, and the only way to come to a conclusion is one win and one loses, then that fight will never end. You'll always fight. And so I don't believe in fighting. I believe in supporting something that I believe in. I believe that I can give my heart and my love and my energy to something that I believe in and work with others so that we can do this together. We have a common goal, a common thing. We don't need to fight. We're doing the we really want the same thing. Different perspectives, but we want the same thing. So yes, this is certainly
It's so
something.
repairable,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
I feel the same way. I feel totally the same, which is why Okay, what do you think? I think I know the answer to this, but
I think he's
um,
spot on. He is
yeah,
spot on. He said something I didn't think about. Yeah, when you got two sides fighting, one feels like they have to win, and the other one, there's going to
feels
be
the
a
same
line,
way.
and we can't rise. I can't think of the quote. We have to do it together, basically.
Absolutely, and you mentioned that as well. I want to show you another one.
You title it "Sisters in the
Two
Back."
si no, two sisters because they were sisters, not like black
Oh,
sisters. They were
okay.
actually
I was
two
like,
two sisters. So, let's see. What do you think is the main reason? This may seem like a very simple question, right? But what do you think is the main reason for the police's existence?
Do you want to answer or you want me to answer?
Okay, so I asked her, what do you think is the main reason for the police exist? Why police exist, essentially? She had a very interesting response. I thought it was very interesting. I hadn't heard it before. I'm gonna let you listen to it. Tell me what you think.
okay.
Oh, you go first. I've got it cooking. So like the main existence for it, because these are also we've seen law enforcement in other countries, right?
Yeah.
We knew that the history of it is to capture slaves, right?
Right.
Property.
Absolutely.
To-
That was a fact.
So it's that, and it's morphed into and had broader scope and reach. So, but we know that's the first and foremost genesis of
That's
police,
where it started. 1,000,000%.
police enforcement here in America. Like I said, like my sister said here, that doesn't escape us. That is the reason why I believe there's that ingrained or systemic kind of racism that
there's
comes
a
with it
systemic
when
racism.
dealing with Black people. I can only talk about Black people, but I do know that happens to other minorities. But since we are Black, we do definitely feel it. And I know I have brothers and cousins, you know, that have had interactions, very negative interactions with law enforcement. So, but to your question, what was the police formed, or like why do we have that? It's here in America is because it was to return property.
And what about now? Do you think obviously slavery doesn't exist? So what would you say now, right now in this moment?
To protect property.
To protect property still?
I think so, because you have to think about it, and I'm going to put it in the context of Black Lives Matter, right?
Okay.
While I was not someone who was a rioter, I was not burning down stuff, I was a peaceful protester, exercising my civic rights, I did notice that our issues, our protests weren't being addressed or taken seriously, and so things started burning down.
That is so true.
Stores started burning down, things started getting busted up, and then all of a sudden it's like,
whoa,
let's
hold
talk
on.
about let's see let's see how we can get to a resolution. Oh, so it wasn't until the destruction of property and lost capital, now you want to talk about something.
It's not until I'm in the street screaming and burning.
No, they don't care about you screaming. It's the destruction.
It's a destruction.
Of property,
Okay.
which means a loss in capital.
Okay.
So again, like I said, even when you go, we live in a very nice community, but the police are there to protect that community and property. So yeah, that's what I think. I don't necessarily think it's gray, but I don't think it's necessarily just to protect the public.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
But it's mainly to protect the capital and the property.
Yeah, capital is the best way to put it.
What do you think? That's interesting, huh? And when she
You
said
know,
that, I had never thought about it that way, never heard it said that way. But her
which
idea
part?
is that
Which part?
the where she said that she believes police exists for the purpose of protecting property solely. That's what I gathered. Obviously, in the beginning, yes, it did. When it came to slavery, of course, the first forms of law enforcement were responsible for catching slaves. But obviously, we're not in that day and age, thank God. But yeah, she thinks that we exist for protecting property and capital, not so much the people.
She's entitled to her opinion, but
Absolutely.
I think if she was assaulted, she would think differently. Or if, like I said, it just, I think people's past interactions hones their focus or hones what their perspective is on law enforcement.
Yeah.
So someone
Yeah.
who had a different experience is not going to feel the same way. Now, I do disagree with her because I believe even though people started listening a little more, I think the message during the riots was lost because of the rioting and the destruction. Um, there's a reason why, Gandhi, Martin Luther King studied Gandhi, the Million Man March, and Dr. King's speech. When there isn't violence, the message resonates a little more. And that's just my opinion. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. And you know what? So you say that, and it makes me think about something that an idea, a theory that I have that I talk about with certain peoples. I'm going to talk about it more because I think it does deserve some discussing, and particularly as it relates to us. And I think this is a conversation that us as Black folks can have. Other people can have it too. I shouldn't just preface it that way. But so I have this idea that, and you touched on it. You said our people's perception of the police is based on what their experiences were, which is true. So then my question is this: how are we able to have all these ideas and perceptions of police when we haven't actually encountered them? And let me give you an example. I read this is an awesome book I read by my pastor actually. And he writes in the story about how
Pastor Albert Tate?
his it's called How We Love Matters. Awesome book, excellent book. But one of his opening stories, he talks about how I think he was 10 at the time, his son, it was during COVID. They left their house just to get some fresh air, right? They go out, they're like somewhere in mountains or somewhere, and they all get out the car, just getting fresh air. And a police car drives up, not to where they are, but just in the vicinity. And the officers get out. His daughter and his son, they go to the car. His daughter goes to get her phone off the charger and comes back. And his son stays in the car. And after a while, he asks his daughter, like, "Hey, what is Isaac doing?" And she's like, "I don't know." And he still stays in there the whole time. And so he walks over and he's like, "What are you doing? Why are you sitting in the car by yourself? Like we just came to get some fresh air. Like all of us agreed to get fresh air." And he's like, "What's wrong?" And he can see the look on his face. Like he had this weird look. He's like, "What's wrong? Like, did you guys get into an argument from here to the car?" He's like, "No, nothing." And he finds, "What is wrong? Tell me what is wrong." And he looks over towards the police and basically says that he's scared.
Mm.
So you have this 10-year-old boy who has never encountered the police. More than likely, he's never encountered the police, but he has this huge fear to the point where felt like he had to go hide in the car. My question is, are we imposing these fears and these perception on ourselves as Black people, whether it's to our kids or whomever, and creating this bad perception where he's never experienced police, but he already has a fear. And more than likely, it came from one, obviously, the things that he's seen. This was after George Floyd, right? So he saw something bad on TV. And I'm sure the things that his father has discussed with him, probably his own experiences that he has shared with him, right? Probably contributed to that. But are we making the perception bad? Are we doing ourselves a disservice by relaying or putting these experiences on each other so that we have this bad perception automatically without actually experiencing it?
I think it's a bit of both. In some communities, they might be perpetuating that stereotype. If you think about it, Jill, your typical traffic stop. If an officer's an a-hole, that's just going to just reinforce what they already thought. I think, like I said, it has to be on both parts. I had a, I had a fear. I did growing up. I grew up in Texas,
Hmm.
one, but also I remember seeing movies as a kid like Mississippi Burning and other stuff. So, there was this feeling for me a lot of times that the police aren't necessarily my friends. That's one of the reasons why I became an officer. I wanted to change it. I saw positive images as a kid in Hollywood, and I was like, you know what, I want to do that. I think it has to go on both sides, and that's why I always try to make sure. I mean, you can't please everybody. You just can't. But I believe if you are honest and respectful, at least 90% of your interactions should be positive. 90%
Right.
of your interaction. If you're trying to make everybody happy, you're doing something wrong, and you're not doing your job.
Yeah, you're not going to be very successful because it's
No,
impossible.
correct.
It's impossible. Everyone's not going to be happy. That's for certain. That is for certain. Yeah, I love that. It's just something I think about. Are we perpetuating this problem? Are we contributing to making the problem worse by filling our kids or whomever with these ideas before they even experience it? So I think it's something we need to talk about. It's not something we talk about a lot in the Black community, but I think it's worth a discussion.
Yeah.
It's worth a conversation, and maybe. And I know it's important. I know you have a son, right? And I know that your father probably talked to you, and probably your mother had that quote unquote the police talk, right, and how to respond to police and what to do and what not to do. And most Black families have a very detailed conversation about that. But are we making it worse by adding more to it? But yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll talk about that more. Let me ask you, okay? What do you think is the hardest part of being a police officer? What is the hardest part about being a police officer?
I've never been asked that question. It changes. I really
Mm,
do. I think
okay.
it depends on where you're at in your career, what you're doing. Um, and different people have different perspectives. But the hardest part for me would be hmm,
Tough one, huh?
I would say interacting with the public on a
Mm,
tough time.
yeah.
You know,
Managing those emotions when you're
yes.
in a traumatic
I
incident.
mean, I'll give you an example. We're human.
Yeah.
If something negative affects us at home, we bring that to work. I remember you checked me. I pulled up on this skateboarder and I just went in on him. He shot across the intersection. And you were like, yo, are you good? You asked me, are you good? I was like, yeah, why? You were like, that was a little excessive. You skateboarded. Really? And you didn't know, but I had watched 12 Years a Slave before I came to work.
Probably not a good idea,
Yeah,
brother.
I mean, this is
Probably not
a
a
true
good
story.
idea to feel yourself with
This
all
is a
those
true story.
emotions.
Yes, this is a true story. True story. And
Wow.
there's certain movies I just don't like to watch, or I have to put myself in that place. And I think I had it for, I don't know, a Netflix. So I had it. This is when Netflix used to send the CDs.
Yeah.
I had it for a good 3 weeks just sitting up on my thing. And I finally popped it in. I'm like, let me just watch this. And that was hot. Hot,
Every
you know?
everybody was gonna get it that night, huh?
Yes. And I remember thinking, I was like, man, is she tripping or am I tripping? Managing your emotions. Now, think about it. That's just watching a movie, and not to think about if you're going through a divorce, if
Right.
one of your children having a medical issue, or
Yeah.
um, something tragic has happened. So
Right.
that's what I say. Dealing with the public when
Yeah.
you've got something going on, when you got this turmoil going on inside of you. a tough day. You've got to still go out there and put that face on, and don't
Yeah.
necessarily be cheerful, but be at least happy enough to where when you show up, someone's not like, this guy's an asshole. Like, at least
Yeah.
show up with a positive attitude and be like, hey, I can do it, you know.
Yeah. Oh
That's
yeah, definitely challenging. That's a challenge, right? It's a balancing act for sure.
What about you?
Um,
You hit me with that tough question. What about
the hardest part for me, I think I would agree with that. Managing your emotions and also managing your beliefs. Not having your beliefs bleed into your job. I think that's very difficult for me, right? I'm a Christian. So there are times where we have to do certain things that may go against what I believe in. Without losing myself and my beliefs and my values and not going too far away from my values, but also doing my job. Um,
We got
and
into an
I
argument about this. You remember?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wait, do you remember the lady, the mental illness lady that we took to the hospital? Was that day? Or was this another one?
No,
Which one was this?
it was a guy we arrested for selling drugs, and then he started playing
Okay.
games and said my heart hurt, so we had to go to the
Uh-huh.
hospital. And he's sitting up in the hospital and he's ordering sandwiches and Jello, and I'm like, yo, man, this ain't the Hilton. We're gonna go to jail. And then you set him off. You said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna pray for you, brother. And then he just went left. You remember that?
I
I'm a
kinda,
Christian.
man.
You were
We've
like,
had
no.
so many.
Yeah, you were like, no, I'm just gonna pray for you, brother. I'm gonna keep you in my prayers. And he just he went from 0 to 100. And I was just like, Jill, why would you say that? And he
And
was
you know
difficult to deal with the rest of the day. And I was just like,
Oh, man. See,
you remember?
and you know me, when I
Yeah,
say things like that, I mean them like in a good way, right? Like, "Hey, you know
yes,
what? There's obviously some things going on with you, whether it's mental illness, whether it's your drug addiction, whether it's whatever happened to you in life. And I
yeah,
can see that. You're struggling right now. Otherwise, we wouldn't be with you right
yeah,
now."
right,
And I more than likely, I don't fully remember that because we have had so many incidents over the past
yeah,
whatever, but I was genuinely saying like, "Look, I wanna pray for you just because. I wanna pray for your well-being." Like, I wasn't saying it to be
yeah,
and that's a trip. Yeah, and it's a challenge for me because I believe that God has given me the ability to do this job. I know that I am living in my purpose doing this job. And so if I have a sense for us, we call it what the Holy Spirit. When the Holy Spirit comes to me and I have that sense, that third sense to a sixth sense, third sense, that sixth sense to say something, right? That I feel is gonna hopefully make that person feel better or whatever the case may be, I'm gonna say it. But it's a balancing act, right? You're right. And what I said shot him off, apparently.
oh man, my
Shot
boy
him
went from
all the way
here
off.
to here. He was just, I
And
was,
you know what though too? And the more I think about it, I think one of the hard things for me too is it is the relationship between law enforcement and the black community. Since the George Floyd situation, I think specifically during that time, I don't know about you, but it was very difficult to be stuck in the middle of that problem,
mhm.
right? Where you are 100% proud black American, but you're also 100% proud of being a police officer in LA and doing your job. And it was hard. It was hard. That was an emotional time to be able to serve both sides, if you will. Definitely. Okay, last one. Last question.
Okay.
This
Well,
one's easier, right?
give me
What
a
is the
softball.
best what is the best part? What is the best part of being a police officer?
When I was in the academy, this officer said something to me that stuck with me, and I still say it to this day. I forget his name, but he said, you know what? You guys don't understand. He goes, you guys have the ability to change someone's perspective every day. And I really didn't get it. You know, you hear a lot of stuff, don't disrespect the badge, stuff like that. But those two things stuck with me. Don't disrespect the badge, and every day you have a chance to change someone's perspective. And that's what I enjoy. When someone has a positive outcome, and they're not going to get on here and post it. Hey, I had a good interaction with the police. You know,
Right. It'd be
always
great
supposed to
if
be
you guys
negative.
did though. It'd be
Yeah, if
great
it's
if you
negative,
guys did.
yeah. If it's negative, it's going all over. But no one's
Yeah.
gonna get us say, you know what? I just got stopped by the police, and even though I got a ticket, I had a great time. Thank you. I think one of the biggest compliments I got is if you remember at Venice Beach, those kids are tough, and they talk a lot of shit. But one of them skated up to me and said,
Talk
"Y'all
a lot of
miss."
stuff. This is a family show. I'm gonna have to beep.
Okay, you edited it out. Then you edited it out. They talk a lot of trash.
There you go.
um, you know,
Sorry, I messed up your thought.
one of the kids skated up to me and said, "I really don't like police officers, but you're fair, and you're cool." And he skated away,
Yeah. Yeah.
unsolicited, but he felt the need to come up and tell me that. And that's a skater. Those
Right.
skating kids they're tough. They're a
Yeah.
tough crowd to manage. They're a tough crowd to police. There's always something going on at that skate park. Always. Just for one of them to come up and say that he had been watching me. Just watch how I interact.
Yeah.
That's what I talk about.
Absolutely.
Respect. Just talk about respect.
Yeah. I agree. It's something I truly enjoy, which is why I wanted to do this show. I wanted to be able to do something that could hopefully, one, give understanding to people about
Mhm.
what we do in hopes that I can change your perspective, right? If it's a negative, in hopes that it can be a positive perspective. But if nothing else, at least develop some respect, right? A mutual respect. Because at
Absolutely.
least with that, you can work with. You can at least work with some mutual respect, right?
Absolutely.
Whereas if with disrespect, you're not going to get too far, right? And so I totally agree with you that on that. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I'm
First
sure it won't
one.
be the yes. I'm sure this won't be the last conversation that we have. We're just going to give them a taste of
Yeah.
uh
Many
of what
more.
we
So
do
the first one,
because
folks, we have been trying to do this for a year, and Jill has been flaking on me so much.
oh gosh, look at him. See, this is
You
the kind of
know,
mess that I used to hear in the car. This is the kind of mess that I would hear in the car constantly, okay? And I'd have to
never
take
a dull
control.
moment. But you know what? We really kind of taken what we used to say in the patrol car and brought it here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep. Absolutely. And,
because
and we're gonna do more of that for sure.
yeah, there was a lot of honest conversation.
But listen, thank you, Jay. I appreciate you. I'm
Sure.
sure our viewers are gonna appreciate this conversation. You guys, feel free to leave a comment if you like what you heard. You don't like what you heard.
Or if
Go
you
ahead
got
and drop it
questions,
in there.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. All of it. I'm here for all of it. When I say that the show is the human side, I want to hear every human part of us meaning human beings, right? The whole purpose is really to develop deeper understanding of each other, even if you don't like it. Again, thank you, Jay, for coming on. As always, be safe.
thank you. You too.
And we'll see you on the next one, dog.
Let's do it.
All
Okay.
right, you guys. This is Officer Jill. We're going to be signing off. And just remember, if you show me your human side, and I'll show you mine. All right, y'all. Peace. Be safe.